All right, good morning, traders. Today is May 19th, 2025. Hey, let me remind you, next weekend we have a beautiful, fabulous, outstanding 3-day weekend coming. All right, something to look forward to. All right, how I plan this trade SPY today. All right, today is May 19th, 2025. My name is John Carignan, and I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for finding the value in my content. Thank you for following me and the subscriptions and the kind words. I love that. I appreciate that. That helps inspire me to keep moving on and continuing with the work that we're doing. So, all right, down to business. My SPY pivot this morning, 591. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab 5 are in daily uptrends. IWM, SPY, and Diamond Dow all made higher highs and higher lows on Friday, closing over bullish traps over their hooking 17 EMAs. QQQ and FNGB made inside days, those are lower highs and higher lows, closing over bullish traps over their hooking 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Hey, let me just remind you, okay? We are in a unique environment right now, okay? Where you have 10-minute uptrends inside of 2-hour uptrends that are also inside of daily uptrends that are also inside of a monthly uptrend that's also over the all-time high anchored VWAP, all right? These are very rare situations where you get all of that together over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so this is a unique opportunity, all right, to really make some really good capital. All right, or grow your account in these 10-minute uptrends. Maybe not today. Today we're pulling back some. As you can see, yesterday we were in the oversold area. If you were with me on Friday's video. All right, so I just wanted to point that out. Okay, that's very rare opportunity. This is your time to shine, to really chunk your account up there. All right, so. SPY closed 10-minute uptrend and a 2-hour uptrend. Gold's in a daily downtrend. Gold made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. So gold's in a downtrend now. Wasn't an uptrend, but now it's in a downtrend. Still up in that bullish area though. Okay, silver still in a downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. USO in a downtrend, made a lower high, a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. UNG also in a daily downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We like that. We just like some kind of certainty coming out of the administration here. Let us know if tariffs are on or if they're off, okay? That way Mr. Powell can make his rate cuts, all right? And then when we get some rate cuts, we could get some high-flying stocks. We'll see. Okay, U.S. dollar index still in a downtrend. Closed near the 100.72 area. SPY max pain, 592, all right? With a put-to-call ratio of 1 3/4 puts to each call that expires today. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. Hey, good morning, Erasmo. Thank you, Jim. All right, SPY, 10-minute chart. Okay, we'll look at it without the pre-market. This is just leaving off from yesterday. 10-minute uptrend yesterday. Okay, going into the close. All right. In this morning, we're a little bit different. All right, but 10-minute uptrend going into the close. 2-hour uptrend going into the close, okay? See the yellow 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA, okay? Same on the 10-minute, okay? Come on. Come on, dude. This is not right. Let's try the 2 hour. Back to the 10. Try the 15. All right, things are getting flaky here today. Anyways, 2 hour and the 10 minute are both in uptrends. All right, daily chart. 3 EMA up over the 8 EMA. All right, daily uptrend. Okay, if we look at this with the scratch, actually, let's go back to that one. I don't know. I like that one. That was nice. All right, you can see we're making higher lows and we're making higher highs. See that high? We made a higher high. Made a higher high than this high right here, so we're making higher highs. So there's SPY in it, in a daily uptrend. All right, you can see it's all the way up here in quadrant 4. All right, that's bullish. Okay, way up there, quadrant 4 on the daily chart. Okay, the all-time high right here is. Let's get the crosshairs. Things aren't working on this thing today. Here we go. 613.23. You can see we left off Friday, 594. Okay, that's only a $20 difference. Okay, we've seen SPY gap $20. All right, this thing could be seeing new all-time highs. You know, just overnight. Anything's possible. Okay, a little tweet. Little tariff reform, anything. All right, we could see SPY making new all-time highs. That's how close we are to making new all-time highs for SPY. That's huge. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart. Okay, 2-day chart. We have to come all the way up here to take out that high to negate the 2-day downtrend. 2 days still in a downtrend. Same with the 3-day. Got to come all the way up here. 3 days still in a downtrend. Weekly still in a downtrend. Got to come all the way up here. But the monthly, look at that tail. That's a big tail. All right, that means I like the follow through. This thing could be like ripping up to 700. All right, SPY monthly. Okay, we're still in an uptrend because we never made. This was the low to take out. We never made a lower low. So there's SPY on the monthly chart. All right. For the game plan, let's take a look at the game plan. See if this is going to work. Let's slide it over. All right. Where's all my stuff? And my stuff was here. All right. Anyways, I don't know what happened to everything, but it's not here now. Anyways, 591's the pivot. Over it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Green erases red over 593.50. Okay, red erases green underneath 588.30. All right, with the pre-market on. Let's see what the pre-market, if we're going to get anything here. Oh, look, the pre-market's on. That's pretty cool. All right, so here it is right here. Okay, with the pre-market, we have on the 10-minute chart, what do we have here? We've got a little 10-minute uptrend hanging out right now over VWAP. All right, not quite the same continuation we had over here because we came down, but got a little 10-minute on the pre-market here, a little 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. We'll see what happens. All right, they're pulling back to this 588.30 area. All right, how I plan to trade this today. All right, since under 591, I'll be looking for 10-minute downtrends under 591. Okay, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. All right, if we pull up to the pivot, I may start and leg into some puts right there. But I'm looking for a 10-minute downtrend coming out of the gate. Right out of the gate, looking for a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. All right, with the pre-market chart and the pre-market data on. All right, because it's not going to look the same as if we take the pre-market off. So I'll be looking at pre-market data. I'm looking for a 10-minute downtrend underneath VWAP on this. All right, because we're gapping down this morning. I don't expect them to fill gap today. I actually expect today to be a pullback day. So we'll see what happens. Again, I like Friday options because Friday options have more open interest. I like 4 days till expiration and 11 days till expiration Friday options. I like the options that expire on the increments of 5. So, for instance, 595 strike, 600 strike, 590 strike. If you look at those strikes, you're going to see more open interest on those increments of 5. Okay, so I like those. I like the Friday options. And I like it mainly because it's got more open interest. More open interest for me equals higher liquidity. Higher liquidity usually transcends into or translates into tighter bid-ask spread. Tighter bid-ask spread means less slippage for me and getting better fills. All right, on my orders. Okay, so that's what I like. All right, so 10-minute uptrend over 591, over 593.50. That's the green erases red, and 10-minute downtrend under 591, underneath 588.30. That would be the red erases green. All right, so we'll see what happens with this morning. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ. Again, I like the same options on the QQQ. All right, I like 4 days till expiration and the 11 days till expiration Friday options. All right, I like them on the increments of 5. Same thing. I like them $5 to $15 out of the money. All right, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, and I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, if you want, I choose $5 to $15 out of the money. Now, if you want something that's going to give you better performance, okay, these do not give you the better performance. If you want the very best performance, all right, you're going to throw away all your risk management, all right, and you're going to go for 0 DTE in the money, all right. Those will give you the very best performance. You can probably get 100, 200, maybe even 300% off of those 0 DTE in the money options, okay? But the point is, you know, if you get a big candle, you could lose it all in an instant, all right? So that's why I choose the out of the money, all right? Kind of takes back some of my risk. In other words, I'm putting on less risk. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of performance, all right, to take on a little bit less risk. All right, if you want the best performing one, but the problem is you've got to have the direction right. If you got the direction wrong, it can really rip your account up. All right, especially when you got, take a look at this candle right here, okay? Let me get the crosshairs on it. Well, let's just do this, okay? That was 518.53. That's 516.61. Let's just, for intents and purposes, let's call it a $2 candle, okay? If you've got a $25,000 account and you have 10 in-the-money contracts on that, okay, that $2 candle would, because they're in the money, they're probably going to give you a dollar, penny for penny performance, meaning that if you're long, I don't know why you'd be long there, but you might be buying it on the pullback. If you're long, that's a $2,000 drop, all right, for 10 contracts right there that are in the money, all right, that are, in the money, and they're 0 DTE, okay? So there's a reason we pick the Friday options. We give ourselves a little more time, all right? And we don't have as much melting going on with the theta decay. And we pick them $5 to $15 out of the money. There's a reason for it, and that's the reason. We don't want that much risk, okay? You're really playing with fire when you dig into these 0 DTEs right here, all right, and you know, you can see you get a $2 candle like that, and if you're long or you're on the wrong side because you're buying the pullback here to get some calls, and lo and behold, you know, one $2 10-minute candle, that's down $2,000 like that in an instant, just like that. Okay, so that's why we choose those. All right, bullish. Green erases red over 521.40. Red erases green under 517.35. All right, QQQ pivot 519.25. All right, on the daily chart, you can see right here on the daily chart. Let me make sure I got the right one. I want that one, and I want the daily chart, and I want this. Okay, so you can see on the daily chart we had an inside day. Okay, so lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap, over the 17, over the uptrend line, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. There's QQQ, okay? Same with SPY, and in an uptrend, okay? Higher lows and higher highs. Up here in quadrant 4, you can see they are within striking distance of taking out or making a new all-time high in QQQ. All right, back to SPY one more time. You can see price action for SPY a little bit different than QQQ. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the 17. Again, within striking distance of that all-time high, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's this thin purple line right here. Okay, you can barely see it. I could probably crank that up. Let me crank that up just for, okay, crank it up. Okay, now you can see it. See the pink line now? Right there, we're over, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so watching that, okay? So this is a rare occasion I'm showing you right now, okay? 2-hour uptrend, daily uptrend, monthly uptrend, all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, this is unique. It's very rare that it stays up there over the all-time high anchored VWAP for extended periods of time. Okay, we've been fortunate enough to go all week last week, all week the week before, and pretty much all week the week before that. Okay, unique opportunity. Okay, so there's SPY on the daily chart. All right, let's go take a look at FNGB. KFNGB, just like QQQ, had an inside day, closing over the trap, over the 17. I'm just going to call it over the all-time high anchored VWAP. They just started this thing, I guess, in February. I was unaware of it. It used to be FNGU. Now it's what it is here. All right, anyways, price action here is up in the upper third. All right, so that's bullish. Okay, closing over the trap, over the 17. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. All right, so everything looking good. FNGB. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap. Okay, see the 3 EMA, the white 8 EMA. We're over that trap. Okay, we're over that all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. Right here, over that all-time high anchored VWAP. We're up here in the upper third. That's bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. Okay, so Diamond Dow. You can see consolidation over prior consolidation here. That is a bullish environment. Okay, if you take this and brick off, oh, it's not going to work. All right, I guess no drawing tools this morning. Let's see if we can fix that. And where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Epic Pen. End task. Okay, let's try it one more time. I'll juice it up. Well, you can see you got a brick of candles right here, and you can see they're over the other candles. Here we go. All right, let's try it one more time. Okay, so there we go. Okay, see how that consolidation over prior consolidation. See that right there? See how it's starting to step up like that. Okay, that's a bullish environment. That was a bullish environment when it was over this. This was a bullish environment when it was over this. Okay, so there you go. Bullish environment right there. Okay, things are bullish. We're getting a little pullback today. And if you notice on T21.22, you'll see that we were way up there in the nosebleed section of the oversold zone, or overbought zone. All right, so there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart. Okay, that's bullish. All right, IWM. All right, IWM, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, and it's been, let's look at this, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It's been 3 months since we've been up over the all-time high anchored VWAP and closing a candle up there, okay? This has been 3 months. Okay, this is a unique event for IWM. All right, it's been a long time, not a unique event, but long time coming. They spent a lot of time underneath this. All right, so there's IWM on the daily chart in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. Again, you got the same price action there, okay, where you've got consolidation. All right, up over prior consolidation. All right, that's a bullish environment. All right, see that? Consolidation over prior consolidation. It's a bullish environment. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a bullish environment. You're in an uptrend. That's a bullish environment. Anytime you move up and hold the higher ground, that's a bullish environment. Okay, we're not quite up here in the bullish zone yet. In the upper third, we are making a comeback. We are back at the midpoint, and we're holding right there right now. All right, so price action holding at the midpoint, so just still neutral right there on IWM. All right, let's take a look at T21.22, okay? This is Friday's price action. You can see we spent all day way up here in the nosebleed seats, okay, in the overbought zone. See that? I think it's like 98.89. Okay, 100 is tops. Okay, that's pretty darn close to 100. 98.89. All right, so you're getting a pullback today. That's normal. All right, T21.23. 15-minute chart for 15-minute T21.23. Again, you've got consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, you got, see this? Consolidating over prior consolidation, over prior consolidation right there. Okay, over prior consolidation, big gap up there. Okay, so that all of that's a bullish environment. Okay, notice we were green from the beginning to the end of the day. Okay, relentless buying. Okay, I'm telling you guys, inflation, all right, even though we dislike inflation, inflation brings in more revenue because everything, all the goods and services are selling at a higher price point. Okay, they're not selling. So, you know, whether it was, ink pens selling for, 10 for $2, now you got ink pens selling for 10 for $3. Okay, they're getting a higher price point. Higher price point means more revenue coming in on the top line. Okay, and if management has their act together, okay, all of those profits that are normally there should transcend down to the bottom line, therefore giving them more earnings per share. More earnings per share means growth. All right, and when they get growth, guess what happens? They start to expand and their multiple increases, okay? And that makes them more valuable. So here it is. Wall Street gets a bump whenever there's inflation because everything's going to be bringing in more to the top line. So there's T21.23, 15-minute chart up over this 200 SMA, hooking 200 SMA. All right, let's take a look at our 3-bar chart. Okay, and you can see on our 3-bar chart, Friday, yes, we did it. We made a higher high on the 3-bar chart. Okay, still not out of the woods completely yet. We haven't done it on the daily chart. Okay, but, well, maybe we did. Maybe. No, we have not done it on the daily chart. Okay, have not done the higher high. We have to come all the way up here, all right, to do it on the daily chart. All right, but on the 3-bar chart right here, you can see we finally made a higher high. So we have a uptrend on the T2123 3-bar chart. We're up over this falling 200 SMA. That's good news. We are ready to attack 2 of the prior all-time highs right here. This is the ultimate all-time high way up there. Still a ways to go. Okay, but let me just say that more revenue means more dollars per share for those companies that have goods and services, because they're selling those services and goods for a higher price point, and therefore they should be getting more. So I would not be surprised to see price reattack that all-time high eventually. And it could happen this month, could happen next month. We'll see what happens. There's T2123. We're on the other side of the falling 200. That's a bullish environment. 3 more green candle bars put in yesterday. That's bullish. Everything looking good so far. Love this hooking higher high right there. There's a really rounded bottom right there. All right, so let's take a look at FNGB. FNGB in the pre-market, you can see we're getting a pullback. You can see price action here on FNGB, just like some of the others. Okay, you've got consolidation. Okay, over prior consolidation right here. Okay, over prior consolidation. These are bullish environments right there. Up over this high anchored VWAP. That's not the all-time high, although it might be. Yeah, that is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Up over that all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a bullish environment. All right, moving up, holding the higher ground. That is also a bullish environment. So there's FNGB. Price action for FNGB on Friday. Let's zoom in and check it out. You can see a little bit of selling, a little bit of buying, a little bit of selling. Mostly the day was green. See that? Green kind of dominated the color for that day. Not by much, but by a little bit, but enough. But guess what? Enough to hold the higher ground. Okay, so that's bullish. And we're up over this 200 SMA. Okay, we're about to open up. I don't know if we'll be over it when we open up, but we'll see what happens. All right, so holding that higher ground, that's bullish. All right, let's take a look at a few sectors. We'll start off with XLE. All right, XLE looking like a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Still underneath. You can still underneath downtrend line 1 and downtrend line 2. And this 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Making higher lows and higher highs. So it's in an uptrend, but it's still neutral because it's not in the upper third, it's not in the lower third. Okay, let's take a look at USO. Okay, USO is still in a downtrend. Okay, there's a low. Notice they made a lower low. Okay. See this low? That's a higher low. We're looking for them to make a higher high. If they happen to take out, see those 2 wicks right up there? If they happen to exceed those 2 wicks, they will negate the downtrend and convert the uptrend. Okay, price action, USO, higher low, higher high, closing inside bullish trap over the 17. Underneath this 12. Now, this is a 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's post-COVID high right there. Closing under that 3-year high anchored VWAP. Still down here in the lower third. That's bearish. Okay, upper third bullish, lower third bearish. Okay, still in a downtrend, but not moving down. I like this. All right, still underneath that 3-year high anchored VWAP. All right, see, maybe they can get something done this month. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look at UNG. So still in a downtrend and still neutral. Still bearish. All right, in that lower third. Okay, UNG. Lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the 17, underneath downtrend line 1. Okay, and underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP. Okay, not in the lower third, so just neutral. All right, and still in a downtrend. Okay, they got to take out this high to negate the downtrend. Still in a downtrend, so still neutral. And by the looks of it, they're going to be back in the bearish lower third. See this 1606 pre-market? Looking like they're coming all the way back. All right, so let's take a look back at USO again. See, in the lower third, that's bearish. See UNG. All right, in the pre-market, if they close down here, that'll be bearish again for them. So downtrends on USO and UNG. All right, uptrends on XLE. All right, that's in an uptrend and neutral. UNG neutral, but in a downtrend. Okay, let's take a look at precious metals, GLD. Lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap. See the 3 underneath the 8, that's a bearish trap. Okay, closing underneath the flat 17, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Up here in the upper third, so that's bullish, but in a downtrend because it made a lower high and it made a lower low. Okay, so if they come back up, take out that high, they can negate the downtrend. All right, but they're still hanging out in the upper third. That's bullish. All right, let's take a look at SLV. Silver, lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, under the flat 17, underneath downtrend line 1, but over. This is a 12-year high anchored VWAP, also doubles as a 6-month high anchored VWAP. So hanging on to that higher ground and in the upper third, so that's bullish. Closing in the upper third, that's bullish, but still in a downtrend. Okay, it's moving up and holding the higher ground. Okay, but as far as the daily chart goes, still in a downtrend. They have to make a higher high. So if they happen to come up and take out that high right there, they'll have an uptrend. Okay, that's the first high you come to. Okay, that's over the 17. Actually, if they take out this high right here, okay, take out this high right here, they can have an uptrend. Can't quite get it done, but I do like the consolidation holding the higher ground. In the upper third, so that's bullish. All right, but still in a downtrend. So not quite ready yet. Almost getting there. All right, SMH. All right, SMH in the upper third, that's bullish. SMH making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. That's an uptrend. And up over the all-time high anchored VWAP and over this downtrend line. Okay, all of that is bullish. SMH looking good. Big Brother XLK up here in quadrant 4. SMH in quadrant 3. Quadrant 4 XLK, that's bullish. Higher lows, higher highs, that's bullish. That's an uptrend. All right, closing over the bullish trap over the 17, that's bullish. Closing up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. And up over this all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Let's take a look at XLF. XLF, higher low, higher high. Closing up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Closing, making higher lows and higher highs, also bullish. IYT, great comeback by IYT. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Price action in the upper third. Closing in the upper third is bullish. All right, so up in the upper third, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. All right, over the all-time high record VWAP, also bullish. So there's IYT on the daily chart, bullish in the upper third. So they're all XLK, IYT, XLF, all three of those major sectors looking good up there in that bullish territory and in uptrends. All right, just missing like an FNGB, also doing the same thing. Just need a little bit more juice coming out of the small cap, mid caps. All right, so there's IYT on the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at our economic package and we'll wrap this up. And let's take a look at economic calendar, see if they got me the right one, if they gave me the right one. Today is the 19th. Okay, you can see what do we got this morning. We got some Fed speakers, e-commerce retail sales at 10, leading indicators at 10, and a couple more Fed speakers. On Tuesday, none of those are Mr. Powell, so not much to worry about. Okay, we got some Fed speakers and some more Fed speakers. Okay, so nothing happening really. Wherever they want to go today and tomorrow, looks like it's free blue skies with no ceiling. All right, because I don't see anything on here, some data that's going to like throw a wrench in the works. Everything's looking good. Wednesday, we got MBA mortgage applications at 7, Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations, 10 o'clock. We got the petroleum report at 10:30 and some Fed speaker. That's it. Thursday, what do we got here? Jobless claims at 8:30, Chicago Fed National Activity Index 8:30, PMI composite flash 9:45, existing home sales 10, quarterly services 10, gas report at 10:30. I got a Fed speaker, Kansas City Fed Manufacturing Index. Light day. Really light day. I don't see anything disruptive there. Friday, we got Northwest Arkansas Fireside Chat. See, new home sales, that's at 9:30 on Friday morning. New home sales, 10 o'clock. Fed speaker, got a rig count at 1. And Mr. Powell is going to speak at 2:40. Don't forget the markets. We are closed on, I think, on Monday or Friday. Not sure. I think it's Monday. So we got a 3-day weekend coming up after Mr. Powell speaks on Friday. Okay, for max pain for today is 592. All right, and the put to call ratio is 1 3/4 puts for each call. All right, on the U.S. dollar, we have price action closing at the bottom of that red body, closing at 100.77. All right, still in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows, lower high, lower low, maybe another lower high, we'll see. Okay, we're back underneath major support here, resistance right there. It was major support. Now we're back underneath it. It's major resistance or minor resistance as we're coming up there. Okay, so that's looking good. Still in a downtrend. On the earnings calendar, what do we got? We've got nothing here that's going to rock and roll or move the markets. Okay, some familiar names, but nothing that's really going to move the markets. All right, Tuesday. Home Depot, $378 billion. They're going to report Tuesday morning. Palo Alto, $127 billion. They're going to report, it's tech, so they're going to report Tuesday evening. Wednesday, we got TJX, $149 billion. They're going to report in the morning. Lowe's, $131 billion. Full Truck Alliance, $129 billion, also in the morning. Medtronic, 110 billion in the morning. And Snowflake, 61 billion in the evening. Thursday, we got Intuit, 184 billion. They're going to report in the morning. In the evening. Toronto Dominion Bank, 113 billion. They're going to report in the morning. Analog Devices, 112 billion, also in the morning with Toronto Dominion Bank. Friday, we got familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the market. So the main event's probably going to be Home Depot right here, 137 billion on Tuesday. I don't expect it to really rip the markets apart with whatever they report. It could have some effect on retail sales, but all in all, I think everything's kind of tame this week. I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything special coming out. So whatever direction they were going in, I think they have clear skies above to continue moving in the same direction. All right. Mr. Powell doesn't speak till 2:30 on Friday, so we got all week to run to whatever our destination is. Is it the new all-time high? I don't know. We'll see. All right. Other than that, I am done for this morning. I will see you all in about 35 minutes, and we'll open up the markets. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the kind wishes while I was sick. I'm feeling a little bit better. All right, I get pockets of coughing here and there, but all in all, I feel a whole lot better. I have to turn off the microphone so that you don't hear me coughing and hacking away while I'm talking. All right, so I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes, and we'll get this market open. See what we can come up with today for. Hopefully, we get a nice little 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, we'll see. That would be nice. All right, nice little rip rally. That would be nice. We'll see. I'm expecting today to be a lower high and a lower low, only because we were in the overbought zone on Friday. So this is normal. Pullbacks are normal. It does not mean that the uptrend has vanished. All right, if you're getting a pullback today, all right, this is normal. All right. At least we're not getting a $50 pullback today, okay? That's not normal, all right? Little pullbacks like today, this is normal, all right? We're still in an uptrend. I'm still sticking with my long positions, all right? This is normal. Having pullbacks, a little bit of drawdown, that's normal, okay? Because I got some stuff that's going to swing out for... Well, I got 11 days till expiration, SPY options, calls. 18 days till expiration, SPY calls. 25 days till expiration, SPY calls. And even 32 days till expiration, SPY calls. Okay? Pullbacks are normal. All right? All right, I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes. Let me get this video rendered.